This is episode 134 of the Gold Squadron podcast. I'm your host, Dion Morales, and today I'm joined by Marcel. I am invited zero. I'm stalling because he's literally typing as we're doing this. Marcel invited Manzano.
I was going to go somewhere else with the Secret Hitler game, but then I thought people who don't know the game Secret Hitler might take that a different way.
Will, calculating for life, Hagewood.
Hello, everyone.
And Ryan, yes, there will be cookies at Crossroads.
You can stop
Staniszewski.
asking now.
There you go.
It's confirmed.
Confirmed. You can stop asking. Don't ask the questions. No more Reddit posts about cookies. It's happening, everybody. All right. Announcements and news. Always first. So, Crossroads Classic is happening December 14 and 15. That's this weekend, guys. And the Gold Squadron is going to be there casting. It's going to be me. And assuming that everything goes well, my co-host will be Luke Carrington. So, that's Luke Carrington of the Gold Squadron Paintcast. So, it should be a lot of fun. Then some announcements from FFG. Now, not sure if you guys have heard this stuff, but I think it's important to relay it out there. This is from FFGOP. They posted this on Facebook, and they said that on December 27th, so a couple days after Christmas, there's going to be an article that's dropped by FFG from Alex Watkins, who is the head of OP for Fantasy Flight Games. And just talking about the plan for organized play in 2020. I actually find it really encouraging that they're planning some. I want to see what this article looks like. Of course, we'll break it down when we get there. But I think it's encouraging that they're talking about it before we even get into 2020. What do you guys think? Give me some speculation here. What do you think we could see in here?
I think official wording on everything. Just saying maybe a little more on the schedule. I doubt it'd be specific things like prize support, because it seems like this is a top view look of everything that they're planning on. So when we got that original one for second edition, where it was like hyperspace trials, hyperspace qualifiers, system open, worlds, grand
Well, they had the whole
Continental.
triangle thing.
Yeah, I think we're gonna get that.
Okay.
We're gonna get the new triangle.
Yeah, that's exactly what I expected to be too. It seems that every season we have to relearn what organized play actually is doing. So it's nice that they're being very, very open about that communication.
Well, I feel like at first it was simple, and then they tried to be cool and throw in all this jargon, and now we're simplifying it again, or at least more simple than it was. Then on January 9th, they're going to be having their Tuesday live stream, and that's going to be the FFG points update. They're going to be publishing the PDFs, and they will go live either during the stream or maybe right after, maybe before if they want to be really nice. And then they will be legal later, 11 days later, and that would be on the 20th, which means that these points will be legal for the Grand Championship that's happening at the Las Vegas Open, hosted by Fly Better, and at the UK System Open, which I think is the same weekend or around the same time.
It's about a week or two later.
So we're going to get updates, maybe even hyperspace changes. We'll talk about what we might expect changes to happen after we discuss the events that happened this weekend. Because essentially this episode is the farewell to Points version 1.4. Crossroads Classic, in my opinion, is going to mark like the end of 1.4. We're going to have, some stuff happen this weekend. But after that, it's time to change. It's time to maybe start worrying about that list that you've been flying. I don't know. Maybe the points will change on it. But I want to talk about the lists first, because we're going to be going into the Wild Wild West here pretty soon. But right now, let's see where we are now. First thing I want to talk about is the Philadelphia System Open. It is the premier level of hyperspace play for the first time. Now, Marcel, one thing I want to talk to you about is this premier level event being hyperspace, did you feel it was any different compared to an extended event? Did your perception of the event change at all? Your experience, anything like that overall?
For me, not as much, because I had the same list from Worlds, which is hyperspace legal already, and I had used it in a hyperspace trial, so it wasn't that yeah, so it wasn't that much different for me particularly. But one of the things that did change is because it became hyperspace, I was expecting to see a lot more separatists, and I ended up only flying against one separatist the entire weekend, which was a loss to Adam. Was my only Swiss loss. So I was expecting to see a lot of different things, but I think more than anything else, the what surprised me was that I don't know if it was because not a lot of people traveled and it was a lot of local players, but it seemed like a lot of homebrew built lists. It wasn't the same type of list that I had seen for the last 6 months at hyperspace trials and at the grands and things like that. I ran into some lists that had, for example, 2 Star Vipers, Fenrau, and Seavor was one of them. There was a lot of wedge. I think the majority of the lists, if you got the numbers, were Rebel, which was
I have it right here.
Surprise.
22 were Rebel out of the 97.
Yeah, so which is I mean, if you divide it into 7, it's more than the other ones would have had. So yeah, I don't know if it's enough to get a good feel of it, and at the same time, I don't really think it matters, again, since the next hyperspace will be, or the next system open will be with a points adjustment.
Absolutely. I was just curious to see, like, going into it, like you said, there was a lot of local players that maybe don't make it out because, there's a pretty good chunk of players out of New York that I saw there. There was people out of the DC area, Pennsylvania. And I know that because it was at a convention, and especially a convention that is expensive to get to, the Philadelphia area is rather pricey. And then that on top of the late announcement maybe made it so that, we say only 97 players. I honestly, that's more than I thought would actually show up, to be completely honest. So I was happy to see that we had a decent number of people show up. Now, Marcel, the next thing I want to talk about, because obviously we know that that Ryan and Will weren't there. Maybe if you've seen some of this stuff out there, let me know. We had a changeover, right? Cascade Games is no longer doing the System Open series for us. It's now Yeti Games. As a player, Marcel, what did you notice any change? Good, bad? What is it? Because when I talked to Yeti Games, he was very the head of it. His name's Vince. He was very adamant and says, if there was anything we need to fix, I'd rather you just tell me straight to my face, and let's get it fixed rather than beating around the bush and complaining about it, without me knowing. So let us air the grievances, if there are any, for you as a player, because obviously I didn't have the player experience. So I'm curious to know how are things for you.
Yeah, so I think the it's both a positive and negative. It's one of those things that it's hit or miss, and I think it's because it's their first time doing X-Wing and they're not particularly familiar with X-Wing. Was that they basically gave Dee and Brent and Chris the run of the show, and they're like, whatever you guys decide, you guys do, and they just had a lot more autonomy into every aspect of how the event was run. Now, being that we had, again, Brent, Chris, and Dee, 3 very capable people that have a lot of experience running these type of shows, it went off brilliantly. Like, there was excuse me, there was a lot of leeway in the way that they judge things. One example is me and Ryan Fleming finished our games really early. The first turn, I think in 20 minutes, we both tabled our opponents. Okay. And so we got a chance to go walk around and just hang out. and we were standing by Ronald Brennan, those you guys know from Nova, and his opponent was flying a Whisper, which is not hyperspace legal.
Hyperspace legal, yeah.
So we did bring it to Dee's attention and to Chris's attention, but the rules state like, oh, it's a disqualification.
Right.
And we were having the conversation about, while they were having that, we were just asking, like, it's kind of like, this is round one. It's only like 30 minutes into round one, like, and they hadn't announced, the change from extended to hyperspace, and so forth. And right there, they just say, okay, we'll give them a round loss, and then basically it was just like, okay, what ship can we scrounge up between the community of people that brought extra ships to throw an extra ship in there and whatever fits. And they just swapped out Whisper for, I think, Soontir or something that somebody had an extra ship, which again, it's not to the rules. Somebody that has, I don't know if Yeti, not Yeti, the one before this, I forgot
Cascade.
their name. Yeah, if they would have had, given the judges that much leeway or said, nope, this is qualified, you're out.
I would say, like, from my experience, they probably would have. I felt like they did lean pretty heavily on the marshals, and it was their discretion. So I would say something of that case.
So the reason I say it's a positive and a negative is, okay, we had Dee and Brent and Chris, but that's not to say that people like that or with that level of experience are going to be available for all the events. So eventually they're going to have to either continue to incentivize people that are experienced to keep going to these events to judge, or they're going to have to figure it out on their own and start making those calls. So that's where my difference was. Now, being that I was hanging around with you around the podcast and stuff like that, I also got to see a little bit of like how they interacted with you and interacted with like the judges, and they were very personal, very friendly, and very amicable. And they came up to me like in the playing table, not in the streaming table, and they're like, "Hey, if you want any water, we got like a water jug there. You don't have to go buy that $4 water." So they were just again very friendly, very personable. So from that aspect of it, I thought it was a home run. Everybody seemed like they really enjoyed it. I don't think I saw anybody that was walking around with a pouty face.
All right,
except Travis Johnson, but Travis Johnson always walks around with a pouty face.
Oh, Travis!
I love the guy.
All right, cool. Well, that's good to hear. I will say on my side, it was pretty smooth. We had a hiccup with the internet that was provided, but they tried. And I will say that last year we didn't have a great connection at Philadelphia anyway. This is very similar problems to Gen Con, where the internet cost is ridiculous. So at Gen Con it's $6,000. At PAX Unplugged it's $3,000, $3,000 for a wired internet connection. So they got the wireless version, and it was junk. And they had a million devices going on it. So that's why we had so many issues. But it is what it is.
Did they say they were gonna make changes for the next one?
They didn't refer to the next PAX, but the next event they said, we try to always get our streamers who we work with a hard line because we understand that there are issues. So that's confidence building for me. We'll see. Well, we don't know until we do it. So I'm hoping that it continues to be smooth, and I look forward to continuing to work with Vince, Denise, and everybody there at Cascade. Sorry, excuse me.
Yeti.
Oh, full pile at Yeti Gaming.
Now, do Yetis make the same sound as Wookiees?
Not according to the movie Abominable that I watched with my daughter a few weeks ago, which was absolutely adorable. I'd go watch it.
I mean, isn't just a Wampa a Star Wars Yeti?
I don't know. All right, let's break down some lists. We're going to be hitting the top 4 of the Philadelphia System Open, and we're going to start with one that I think is a staple. was what I'll say here. This is Jesse Van Wyck with an Imperial list. Let's go ahead and flip over to that. Will, what's the list?
Okay. Well, as you said, this is Jesse Van Wyck, and looks like he is flying a trio of Imperial Aces. Soontir Fel with Predator, Duchess in the Striker with Fifth Brother, Proxy Mines, and Shield Upgrade, and Darth Vader with Fire Control System and Afterburners. Giving him a 7-point bid. These are all honestly the standard upgrades. You could debate the Proxy Mine, I guess, but it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You know, I have to take a little credit from Jesse, okay? Jesse asked me, he said, Dion, Predator or, he said, oh, wait, dang it. This is the wrong one. This was Predator. Fail. Where's Predator?
Did you not put in the right list?
He's looking at Duncan's, I think.
Oh, sorry. Wrong one.
Oh.
Fail. Fail. It was that one.
Well,
Well,
no, that's not on me. I didn't.
No, that
no,
was not.
No, you got the right one, Will.
Did
Well,
Will
see,
read the
now-
right one?
Well, now it's just awkward.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I had the
because
I had the
Duncan
wrong
was
one on the
playing-
screen. I had the wrong
There
one
you
on the
go.
screen. So sorry,
Duncan
video
was
people.
playing,
No, don't worry
Granny
about Duncan.
Blister.
We'll leave Duncan out. We'll leave Duncan out of this. Sorry,
I was like-
I had
I
the
was
wrong
like,
one
oh,
on the screen.
he
Sorry,
wasn't
TV
playing.
people. Hey, audio people, that's a win for you and a fail for me.
Well, now that
So-
it's not a win anymore after that last 30 seconds. But
Well, what I was gonna say is I'm gonna take a little credit here because Jesse asked, should I have Predator or Crackshot on Soontir? I asked him, are you feeling aggressive today? He goes, yeah. I said, take that Predator, and he got top 4. So I'm gonna take some credit there. You know, you're welcome, Jesse. I'm just kidding. Jesse actually he flew his butt off. He flew really, really well.
I'll take some credit for him getting top 4 because he beat me in the top 8 to get it.
Yeah, well, that's your fault.
How did that game go?
It was actually really good. The final score was 77-75, and I sacrificed my OB. Well, I didn't sacrifice. I thought I was going to still be alive on my OB in order to kill Darth Vader, and I would have won 75-39. But once again, the sacrifice meant me rolling a die against myself on a proxy mine, and I once again rolled a hit crit. And that crit was the difference. So, yeah, I gotta stop rolling against myself. But
I will
bad
say,
stuff.
Jesse actually had debated bringing hate on Darth Vader. If he had, that would have been a win in that game for you. But
Because of the points.
yeah, because of the points.
Yeah, no, it was good. He I mean, it was a really close match. Went really close to the wire, and that's the way it goes sometimes. But yeah, he flew it really well.
Awesome. Now we'll go to our other top 4 match, and that was, I believe it's pronounced Michael Nguyen.
it's Michelle Win.
It is? Okay, so there you go. Getting corrected. I didn't know. All right, so Ryan, what's this list?
So Michelle has.
Oh, sorry.
two-
Disclaimer here. Disclaimer. This might not be the exact list. This was what we could build, what I could get together from people who were there in person, including some judges, and what I remember seeing myself. Pretty sure this is what it is. Could be slightly different. Continue.
Did he have a Y-wing?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, it all makes sense to me. I've seen him build lists like this before, and all the upgrade. There's not a ton of upgrades to make sense of. So, anyway, there's 2 Gold Squadron V19 troopers. He's got Wolf, no upgrades. He's got Rick Ollie with his trusty regen R2 Astromech, and then Matchstick with dorsal turret and veteran turret gunner at 200 total. It's a Republic list with no force charges.
No force charges.
What?
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 So, why is this good?
Well, there are rerolls aplenty. Wolf doesn't need his lock, so he can lock Matchstick. And Rick Ollie doesn't lock too much, so maybe he can too. And torrents tend to focus, so why not everybody lock Matchstick anyway? So there's at least a solid starting point there. We know the fillers of the Gold Squadron Troopers are really good. We know 2 is enough in most cases as a filler. I wonder if you're looking at the point differential across the board on his 3 other main ships, you got Wolf at 50, Matchstick at 54, and Rick at 46. I wonder if he presented Rick commonly as a bait, I would assume, since he is the cheapest of the 3 and he has a way to escape and regen all of his points back. If he's left at 1 health and he gets away and doesn't get shot at again, you're not going to get half points on him. So it's really, you really just have to know if some games, like, did you see on stream at all for you?
No, didn't have an opportunity to have him on stream. One of the games I had asked him, his opponent declined, and then I think that happened twice. I was like, "Oh, that seems cool." Just didn't work out.
Bummer. I mean, I know he has been flying Republic, I think, I think since last Adepticon, in which most of the lists I've seen him fly when he does Republic is minimal amounts of Jedi and mostly clone trooper type lists, like multiple Arc, multiple Torrent, and variations up to this point.
How do I not know this guy?
Like, you should. Michelle got top 4 at Nova with almost the identical lists. He was running a sinker instead of Matchstick, and he had Daredevil on his Rick. I also played flying that list at Worlds as well. And he is very talented, being able to keep all those awkward ships, the awkward, like you said, the non-Jedi ships, in formation and on target. And I think this is an interesting twist to it. Matchstick is very consistent in his dice. I mean, he gets rerolls all the time, right? So bumping, can't block them. Red moves don't matter, right? He can even barrel roll, which you don't normally see from these Y-Wings.
But he can. It's free.
Might as well.
Doesn't even mind staying stressed if he needs to 2-turn after the barrel next turn.
More rerolls? Okay.
Well, my apologies to Michelle. My bad, bro. We haven't had a chance to chat, and now I wanna know your face more. Next time. All right, moving into the runner-up spot, we got Duncan Howard with a list very similar to Jesse's, which is why I was confused at first. Sorry, guys. Marcel, what was that list?
Sure, you had Sunterfell with crack shot, shield, upgrade, and targeting computer coming in at 65 points. You also had Duchess with Predator, Fifth Brother. The difference being, instead of a proxy mine, he had afterburners. And then you have the TIE Inquisitor, the Grand Inquisitor, with Sense and Fire Control System, which is an interesting take because Sense coming in at 180. With the 17-point bid, 183. I think he might have had the biggest bid in the whole event.
The whole event, maybe.
But it comes in handy if you're flying against, for example, Jesse's list, which is Sunter and Darth Vader. You've got multiple 6s on there, so.
Yeah.
That sense really keeps Duchess alive because Duchess is so squishy. But if she's moving where she knows where you are, or she's moving last, she's a goddess. I mean, she's super tough to kill.
Yeah, this is watching him play this list actually was really, really interesting. I think in the game that we played, like, Duchess was king. Even when I saw Jesse play, like, the Duchess play was the determination of how the game progressed. Because if you can get a lot of value out of Duchess with that essentially advanced sensors-esque boost at the beginning of your movement, or the option to not do it or also do it while stressed, just really good. Having any flexibility, and I think the sense, like you said, just connects so well with that ability. So very, very cool list. And coming in at only 183, actually Duncan on stream actually put a piece of paper on the on the stream, and it said, "Please don't play this. I don't want the points to go up." So that was funny.
I thought that was Paul's paper.
No. It was Duncan's paper first, and then Paul ended up taking it. Yeah. As another thing for his championship victory, which actually just moves us into the championship spot. All right, let's go ahead and take a look there. So, what is our championship list, Ryan?
So we have the incomparable Paul Heaver coming in with a droid swarm, the classic 7 vultures, 4 of them with grappling struts, 3 of them with Discord missiles, and then we have, rounding out not Seer, it's Chairtech with Ensnare and Treacherous. So he had talked about this and explained some of his strategies on Fly Better. But essentially, he found that he didn't like Seer as much as rounding out the list. He found that just, constantly in using the Nantex and Grievous list at Worlds, that he really likes what the Nantex does. And it's really powerful, as we know, and Snare's really good. But that he had a couple, the points left over for Treacherous. He decided to take it and to help protect Chairtech on the way in. Because people have to make the decision of, I could kill a drone or two, or attempt to kill a drone or two, or I can try and shoot at Chairtech, who would commonly be almost in formation with its the turret arc pointed forward, just to add that 2-die gun. And the goal was just to get Chairtech into the mix, into the mid game, the end game, where it's harder to escape once you got all the drones around, and Chairtech move in either the drones or the enemy with the tractors, and then putting the enemies on top of those Discord missiles, or moving the droids so that they can put the Discord missiles on top of the opposing ships. So there was a not just the guns of a no-go zone, there was also the Discord missiles and the tractoring effect of Ensnare. There's just a lot of don't go here.
Yeah. He used the. We actually had a couple games with him on stream. He used the Ensnare effect offensively very often. It wasn't. I would say, honestly, he used it more offensively, meaning against his own vultures to put them in spots where they can get shots versus tractoring his opponent somewhere else. Actually, was really, really cool to watch. And once we get these games up, which they are literally going to start uploading as soon as we're done recording this podcast, to our editor, so that we can get that out for you guys on YouTube, because it's really, really interesting to watch. And also, I'm not sure how much Paul, I didn't get a chance to listen to Fly Better yet, how much Paul talked about this, but it was amazing to see his decision-making on when to break up the swarm. He didn't keep it in a giant block the whole time. And to see him kind of create this death flower effect and making sure to have heat on any possible targets that are coming in, and giving himself the best chance. And I feel that's kind of the strategy with these Separatists, is that you have so many guns, even though they're super squishy and there's only 2 dice, and sometimes you're doing it without mods, you just need to give yourself a chance. If you're rolling dice, you're rolling those red dice, you have an opportunity to do some damage and win the game. So let's go ahead and just kind of close out our discussion here for Philadelphia, and just the System Open series in general. I did see a question in the chat, which I did forget to bring up. We don't know when the next one is. We know that Adepticon is happening, but that's already on the schedule for Adepticon. You can actually already sign up, come hang out with us at Adepticon. We're going to be doing our... it's going to be, I guess, an annual tradition now. I've decided we did, for the first time, a patron pizza party. After the Day of Swiss, I think it was. So we're going to do that again. Anybody who's a patron who is coming to Adepticon, I'm going to put up a form on Patreon in the next couple weeks. All you got to do is literally fill it out so that I know how much pizza to buy. So should be super yummy, and you'll be able to hang out with myself, other members of the podcast, and eat free food. So that sounds good. Let's now jump into, we're leaving the hyperspace world, kind of, and going over to Singapore for the Grand Championship. That is an extended premier event. Now, there are some absolutely awesome players playing in Singapore, because you don't just have people from Singapore playing, which, by the way, awesome that Singapore, the home of a world championship, of world champion Justin Fua, actually getting a premier event is amazing. Then they also have players from Australia who can reach there pretty easily for decent amount of money. Actually affordable to get there and play. So you have some Australian players and Singapore players doing the work there. So let's go ahead and bust through some of these lists. Marcel, let's go ahead and start with the top 4. This is Desmond Lau.
All right. You've got a list that you actually saw at Worlds do decently well, which is Fen Rao with Lone Wolf and Boba Fett coming in with Fearless, jamming because it's free, Maul, Crew, Proximity Mines, Shield Upgrade, and Slave 1 at 187 points. Which is, again, very, very interesting. And you can go as far as dropping that Shield Upgrade to get down to 181 if you really want that bid. But at 187 usually gets it. But in that situation where you're playing against Duncan Howard, you want that Shield Upgrade to get you under.
Now, quick question about this list.
Mm-hmm.
What would we need to drop from this to make it hyperspace legal? Would it be Maul, and that's it?
Let's see.
I think Maul is legal. Maul is legal.
Maul is legal.
So this is a hyperspace list. A hyperspace legal list. Maybe not jamming beam.
No, jamming beam in there.
And it's legal too.
All right, so this is a hyperspace legal list.
Yeah, I can't think
Just
of
kind
it.
of, I think it's important to note with the System Open series that when we see hyperspace legal lists do well in extended, so that's pretty cool there. Now, the 2-ship list, I think it's pretty. They're obviously 2 very powerful ships. I feel like it's a really gutsy call bringing only 2 ships, because it essentially comes down all to the engagement, right? It's a giant game of chicken, essentially, is what you're playing.
Yeah, I think this particular one does well, similar to like the Boba Guri one, in that it does well against large numbers. So if you're facing off against, let's say, a swarm or a Republic beef or something like that, as long as you can range control and get into that range 1, again, you've got a lot of tools to deal with it now with the Force, with being able to get the rerolls, multiple rerolls, and things like that. So you just get up close to the range 1, take your reinforce with Boba and with Fen. You get that 4 dice and 1 of 8 consistently. So this is one of those lists that, even though it's a 2-ship list, it has tools to deal with numbers and with the beef and the swarms.
I think that's one of the few reasons why this list is probably the most current successful 2-ship list right now. It can actually deal with swarms because of the native effects of Boba Pilot, Fen Rao's ability on top of Concord Dawn. If a droid swarm has not faced off against a Fen Rao and attempted to kill it at range 1, don't expect to do almost any damage, maybe 1. Like it's impressive once you see it, but you do the math and you're like, yeah, he should actually evade almost everything. And he has a much more consistent punch than Guri does. So just a combination of Boba, Fen Rao, and Boba wanting to get in range 1, and then throwing down the proxy mines, because most of the time those droids can't K-turn or turn around well at all. So they either have to just go past or turn in a really awkward direction if they have to worry about that prox mine.
Very cool. Very cool. All right. Will, do you have any thoughts about the list?
Ooh, I had Worlds flashbacks. This is dirty. It's just like comes down to passive mods. Like no, the Boba. I actually saw a switch. Like Lone Wolf was on Boba Fett instead of Fen Rao. But I guess Finround needs it as well. But between like Maul and Boba's rerolls, you're talking like 1 or 2 force and rerolls on almost everything. You get to change your dial, you get to reposition. There's nothing that Boba can't do. It's very much deserving of that 114 point cost.
Awesome. So we're going to go ahead and move on to the top 4. We have Justin Pua, our 2017. Am I right about that? 2017 world champion. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
He was because last year was Simeon, or it's Ollie, Simeon, and then Justin.
Yeah, sounds right.
All right. So Ryan, what did our world champion bring?
He brought the First Order via all ISFs, and they were 4 Omega Squadron experts with crack shot and advanced optics, and then backdraft with crack shot and advanced optics. So just another take on the 5 SFs, not fanatical, which I think is actually correct. Those fanatical points multiply really quickly into 10 total points you're using on that list, which could be used to gain a backdraft, which is like a Lulo for them.
Mm-hmm.
And unless you're extremely good at cycling it out and your opponent doesn't have a really good way at focusing down a ship at a time, it's too often by the time fanatical kicks in that ship's probably going to die before it has a chance to shoot back. People may have had other experiences, but I think crackshot is pretty good for your advanced optics carrying 2 dice ships, even though we're looking at a front back arc ship. We know the A-Wings have had success with multi-crackshot as well. So I think this is a very good option for the First Order, which should always be looking at those generics.
Absolutely. And the crack shot is a great call, right? Because you compared it to Fearless.
Or Fanatical.
Right? Oh, excuse me, Fanatical. Being able to change that single focus to a hit. Crack shot essentially does the same thing, right? You're taking a hit that you normally wouldn't have, and basically you get it past and evade in an opportune moment. I think it's pretty awesome. I think it's a great call, and just that utility of backdraft is very, very nice. Will, any thoughts?
No, this is me and Marcel just discussed it a long time ago. I think after when we started seeing the passive sensors cluster missile version of 5SFs, and we ended up agreeing that the crackshot optics. I think actually Kayla was flying it for quite a bit, wasn't she?
Yeah, she flew this at Worlds, and I flew it at Euros. So I took it. I was in Euro. I had the fanatical version, and then Maciej Peratani, he told me, he suggested I put crackshot and update backdraft on it, and I did terrible with it. I went 3-3, but
Get good.
Huh?
What?
Yeah, I'm not good with it. I tried this twice and it never worked for me, but it's definitely a good list. Kayla, again, she went 5-1 with it at the qualifier, and other people have been doing well with it. It's consistent, and I wonder if how this is going to be affected by the points upgrade, because it's good, but it's not overpowered. It's just solid.
All right, let's go ahead and move on to our runner-up here. Will, give me the rundown.
All right, well, this is Octacon, and he has a Separatist Swarm. He has chosen to take the 7 Vultures and Seer. Seer, of course, taking the Solus 1 title, and TA-175, the Pinata Party Droid.
Mm-hmm.
And has, interestingly enough, if this is correct, which I believe it is, it took just 2 Discord missiles and a 9-point bid.
What?
I don't know if I believe that. There's no way.
This is what was on
Tabletop TO.
Yeah,
I saw it as well.
I'm wondering if he had grappling struts on there, because grappling struts would bring it to 198.
Yeah, that's the exact list I had for Worlds, and he was running that in the last event in Australia. I think their system open or whatever was big after Worlds.
So could be a data reporting error. Could be.
Cheated all the way to second place.
Or you know what? Or maybe he went for it. So Nathan Squadron here in the chat here is saying, no, he's saying that this is legit. After the mess of mirror matches at Aussie Grands, bidding is real. 9-point bid is correct.
I believe it. I mean, you're going to be able to, because moving first, I think is very strong in this, especially because you're trying to be able to block the other opponents. You don't have Kraken, so you want any calculated actions you do have are going to be extremely important, because you can't always rely on the Pinata Droid, especially in that mirror match, because most of those vultures, you're just going to waste that. Then the other one will kill you at 1, and then you shoot at 1, and then the ones get removed, and then that's when TA-175 goes off. So all those calculators are all just wasted anyways. So I think it's very smart. And it also creates kind of a points fortress for Captain Sear. Ends up being 59 points then. And 7 health with Solus 1. So if you never start on him, he's still just flying around at almost 60 points at the end of 75 minutes. So I think it's ingenious. And I think I didn't realize that I've seen it all in X-Wing, but I never thought I'd see super bids on 1. But that's the world we live in now. Trade federations for life.
You know, I would be curious. I have a pretty good relationship with Octa. I want to get in contact with him and ask him if the mirror match came up during the Singapore Open and Grand Championship, and if that bid came into effect, not just in the being able to choose initiative, but in the points fortress. That actually has me really curious, Will, when you bring that up, just being able to really beef up that end game cost.
Yeah, that was a really
I think
good
so
point.
too.
I wonder if there was ever a point, or how often a mirror match would occur where, say, a 5-point bid would have been enough and he could have taken a 3rd Discord missile.
Maybe, yeah. That's right now. I mean, let's say people are following the trend, right? They look at his list and say, well, this in our area, in our local meta, Australia, Singapore, Malaysia, this is the best version of Seer. If I want to go even deeper, I mean, I'm just taking off more Discord missiles, right? Is that what you're doing?
I'm out of the bid war
Yeah.
at that point.
You go full 200 at that point. Yeah, go all the way back up. Like if they're gonna let them take off more upgrades and you put them back on.
I mean, that's where I look at Paul Heaver's squad, because he also mentioned that the reason why he liked Chairtic more is because TA-175 in the mirror matches would just do nothing. So why not drop that completely and put a better ship in Chairtic on the board instead of Seer?
So what I think I'm hearing is we need a Paul Heaver versus Octa Khan Vulture off. That's what I'm hearing. Yeah? We can see
and lists as is. Paul can't undercut him on the bid.
That's
so
right.
We gotta see if the bid will matter.
It's gonna have to matter because, like I said, the Pinata Droid's not doing anything.
That's right.
Unless Churtek's getting kills out there, and then you might as well just I wouldn't even try to get vulture kills.
He just goes strong at Churtek.
Like, nah, I'll leave the 0. That's fine.
Yeah, it matters a lot. I mean, it's not just who moves first and who gets the calculates first, which is really important for these. But also, if you look at what the actual, forget the Pinata Droid. Yeah, you might lose that on what you on the ships that you lose, but offensively, when you're shooting, you have the crack shot on these ships. So one of the strategic things that one of the decisions, not strategic, one of the tactical decisions that you have to make defensively when you're playing against a ship that has crack shot or a crack shot opportunity is you have to preemptively spend that token, calculate token of a token or something. In a mirror match, it's a calculate token. You have to preemptively spend it in order to not get the crack shot to go through, to prevent that from going through. So you're making them spend their offensive mods defensively before you have the choice to say, okay, if you don't spend it, then I'll spend mine and push the damage through. And if you do spend it, okay, now you're unmodded, and I'm gonna keep my mods for defense because I'm not gonna push this crack shot through. So I can see why the bid with Seer, particularly with crack shots, would matter even more in a you might lose the piñata effect, but you still get the benefit of shooting first and making them make the choice whether they want to keep their token offensively and take damage or just use it on defense. But now, the likelihood of them making damage is much less.
Good points. Good points. I like it. So let's go ahead and now really quick info in the chat. I guess Acta did not play any mirror matches. Looks like somebody was aware of the matches, which thank you so much. That's the paint strip in the chat. Now, if you followed us during our world tour, you saw that ActaCon was a finalist in the very first Australian System Open, streamed by Gold Squadron Podcast, versus, again, the eventual champion of also the Singapore Grand Championship, XY. Absolutely just ridiculous to see not only the same matchup at the end here at another premier event in this same part of the world, but then to end up with the same champion with a list that when I looked at it, I asked myself, what are we looking at? Because this is a really, I'm going to call it weird, but at the same time you read it down and you go, oh, that makes sense list. Marcel, read this list for me, please.
Sure. You've got Nantex.
The initiative for Nantex.
Okay, just a generic.
Mm-hmm.
With crack shot and ensnare. You've got Chertek with crack shot and ensnare. Belly Rub Grievous with crack shot, impervious plating, and soulless one. And the is that the suicidal drone? The suicidal hyena gets range 1 extra die and takes a crit with advanced proton torpedo, landing struts, and afterburners. It's all of them at 4, coming in at 197.
Right.
So it's 4 initiative 4s. Is this this isn't what he flew at Worlds, is it?
I think it is.
Same.
I think it at least has the same structure of list. I'm not sure if it's the exact same from Worlds. I just recall him having a 4-ship, 2 Nantex. I'm pretty sure the ship types were the same. I'm not sure if the upgrades were the exact same. I know he loves himself some 404 with afterburners and advanced proton torpedoes, though. That thing's crazy. You 4 straight, land on a rock, afterburners off of it anyway. And then Nantex can boost you straight forward or barrel roll them again.
I'm getting those advanced protons off, is what that is.
It's happening. It is happening.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Absolutely crazy. Will, what do you think of this list?
I love it. I forget when, I think it was during our Nantex list building episode.
Mm-hmm.
We're doing Nantex and Y-Wing builds. It came up. And I flew it a couple times back then. Actually, I still got it saved on my computer, but it was just nasty. It's really taking Paul Heaver, we were discussing his worlds list that had Sunfac, Grievous, and Chertek, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this basically just trades Sunfac out for a 6 dice advanced proton torpedo, or one of the best blockers in the game, because you can boost, barrel roll, or target lock, block somebody, shoot them with a 4 dice attack. which is bonkers. Sure, you could only do it 5 times a game, but who cares? That one or two should be enough. And then you get the additional support of that extra, or sorry, you still get the original like second and snare from the Petarian.
Petranaki.
There you go.
What he said.
What he said. Petranaki.
Petranaki. I'm just sounding it out from what it looks like.
Looks like pterodactyl to me. Something like that. But yeah. So all the punch you would have gotten from some effects like 5 dice bullseye or whatever is just easily replaced by another hyena. Having more health on the board, more guns, still get the double tractor beam, and all of that chaos. Grievous is just hanging out, just flanking you, no big deal. Like. So no, I think it's very powerful. It obviously is going to suffer because right now in second edition, people really like their initiative 5s. 5s is an ace, and those Duchess, those Grand Inquisitors, they're going to give this a run for its money for sure. But I mean, you still have a lot of arcs and tractor beam shenanigans to do, so obviously it can hold its own. I think that makes. Is there a ship XY hasn't won a championship with in the Separatist? Because he's got Infiltrator and Vultures in Australia, and now this is the other 2 or 3. Yeah, this is the other 3 in that faction. Yeah, that's a record, sir. XY is the king of Separatists right now.
Yep. He is the droid commander.
The droid commander. I like it. We should send them the Separatist shirt. I could add some text on there. Droid commander. I like that. Absolutely awesome. Well, so that is the Singapore Grand Championship kind of roundup. Just really cool to see some different lists there, and just seeing how a different part of the world has a slightly different meta. And then this leads into my next question, gentlemen. We are coming up on a points change. Version 1.4 is walking away and knocking at the door. Version 1.5. If each of you could have one card go down and one card go up in points, what would those be? I know I'm putting you guys on the spot. I'll give you guys a chance to think about it, and I'll let our chat participate in this too while we wait here. What is, again, one card, and those of you listening at home, driving, think about what is the first thing that comes to mind saying this needs to go up in points and this needs to go down in points? Only one. If you could only control one. Anybody want to jump in first?
I got it.
All right. Ryan, go for it.
Delta 7B. Up, up, up.
All right. So we're on the cell train for Delta 7B. Okay. Going up, up.
Yeah. I think the Jedi chassis by itself without 7B is, as we've seen, it can be effective with CLT and can do things. It's just Jedi have that combination of high-powered attack with 7B additional, the extra shields, which is beneficial with regen, and their natural fine-tuned controls, which is part of the chassis, which it's going to be there. Not expecting them to errata anything with that. A lot of people think it'd be a really good suggestion to say, hey, if you put 7B on there, you should take off FTC. It's like a trade-off, and then you could adjust points as necessary. But right now, as is, I think the one thing that could adjust the Jedi's power right now is taking that 7B title and going up, up, up with it.
All right. Will. We'll go up first. What is something you think needs to go up?
Oh, you're
muted, my beautifully bearded friend.
Well, I was trying to speak. Going for up, it doesn't. I mean, I fully agree. Like, I'll give a blanket statement. Then I have a specific example. If you have the Force, you need to go up. Blanket statement. But as far as one specific upgrade, it's actually Crackshot.
Okay.
That shouldn't cost 1 point. It's proof that bullseyes are easier than you would think, or at least we thought originally. We thought at first. We were like, oh man, you should go back and listen to us looking through all of the bullseye abilities on droids, and we're like, well, no, all of these are blank because we're never gonna do that. Turns out you can get bullseyes, and it's not that hard. And as you pointed out, Crackshot, I've always thought, doesn't say whatever that card says. It says add 1 to your attack.
Yep.
Like, you did it.
Whenever you feel like it.
Yeah,
right?
Whenever you feel like it, add 1 to your attack if your opponent's in your bullseye. Okay, like 2 points.
And it's crazy. Like, we have seen Crackshot be successful in so many lists, right? And that its use and utility for every faction makes it so that it's like, oh man, this is like a go-to. But I think the decision making needs to be a little harder, right? So I'm in agreement there. What do you think, Marcel? What's something that needs to go up?
I think up would be regen. Definitely needs regen, specifically R2, go up. I think the combination of a Trade Federation drone and grappling struts need to go up. I don't know if it's grappling struts going up to 2 or the Trade Federation drone going up to 20 without the strut, or a combination of both. They're a little undercosted. And finally, this is probably going to be not popular, but I think probably Afterburners has proved its utility. And
should it just be initiative based?
That's what I was going to say. I think Afterburners, basically anything that allows you, going back to the, supernatural reflexes, the one that makes you stop, and inertial dampeners, basically anything that gives you an ability to move or not move or reposition after everyone else already has, needs to be initiative based, because the value is different for one or the other. So I think Afterburners being at initiative 5 or initiative 6, it should be like 7 and 8 points, and 6 points is good for initiative 4 and under. So that's probably the 3. Regen being the probably the biggest one, because I think the Delta 7s without regen, if you leave Delta 7s the way they are, and you just make regen more expensive, I think that changes the landscape enough.
Hey, I have to pause. We got XY in the chat. Let's get some gunboats for our grand champion. Congratulations, man.
The droid commander, the leader of the Separatist army, the winner of all chassis.
The cat with the biggest salami.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, God. Anyway.
What? Cats need a little salami, all right?
I'm not having this discussion. We're moving on.
One real quick thing, though. So, Marcel, the only thing, I do agree regen can go up, but is it only an issue in the Republic faction, though? Or do you see it as a problem in the other factions?
I see it as a problem. I see it as a problem in any faction, and I see it as a problem in future-proofing the game. So just because the Republic is taking advantage of it more than anyone else, you put that same regen at 4 points with Wedge, and I did a lot. And even the regen, Wedge, and Luke made top 8 as well at System Open. So
yep,
it did make top 8 at the System Open. So yeah, I think it's it's not just Luke with R2 is even more hard to kill than a Jedi, more hard to kill than Obi-Wan. So the answer is yes. I think it's a problem. And I'm saying regen, not just R2, because I'm talking about R2, R2D2, R2D2 and the crew, which already got bumped up. I'm afraid to say gonk. But
he has to work really hard. We can leave him alone. We can leave. I think we can leave Gonk alone
for now. But definitely 4 points for 2 agility is for a 2 agility ship is too low. Even though the Jedi, even if with Delta 7, they still have to pay the full 6 for them because they're native 6 because they're native 3 agility ships.
Okay, I just want to know because I know you had experience with it. So
yeah, I've been taking advantage of it, in the last, probably what is it, like 3 months, flying triple regen. Just because I'm taking advantage of it doesn't mean I think it's well costed. I'm just taking advantage of what's of what's there.
Yep.
Taking advantage of the situation, but yeah.
All right, let's move on to the other side of the coin. What is something that needs to go down? Something that right now we're not seeing a lot of play, or maybe, whether it be a pilot or an upgrade that's like, hey, this is not seeing any use. What needs to go down? I'll say for me, as you guys think about it, with faction representation, I think faction representation is a lot of times representative of how the points end up, and I think right now it's really hard to build scum squads that are not like in extended. It's really hard not to just bring Torko Mux, 3 Kirax, and Seavor, or 4 Star Vipers, right? Like that's what you got. Or I guess you also have the Boba Fenn. But they have so many ships. Like they have more ships than Rebels and Empire, like different ships, and you can't use so many of them. But I'll let you guys jump in here.
I'm gonna go with named TIFOs.
Okay.
Things. I mean, when's the last time a named TIFO that is used on a consistent basis?
Scorch.
Scorch is probably the one.
And Muse. I've seen Scorch, Muse, and Null.
Muse has a good ability, and then a little bit of Lieutenant Revis, right? Yeah. I think especially Commander Malrus and Midnight might be the ones more so attributed to it. There's a definite line to Midnight. Like there's maybe too much.
Midnight can be very oppressive. I was talking with I think with everybody here. I think it was in our group chat that I've been looking at Quick Drop, Midnight, Scorch, and Backdraft as a list with particular upgrades. Midnight is if played well and you can keep them to the end game, or you can keep them to where away from swarms. But yeah, I get it. 43 points is still a lot for
especially when you take Midnight at 43 base cost, and for 1 less point you can get a Crackshot, Heroic, Advanced Optics, Tally, or Greer. Either of those are 42, and I would take either one of those any day over Midnight right now.
Yeah, because they survive against numbers where Midnight doesn't. Midnight's a one-on-one specialist.
And obviously the rear arc advantage for the 8-wing. So big deal.
All right, Marcel, do you have something to go down?
Yeah, I think it would just be similar to you. It'd be everything in the scum lineup. I think the aggressors can go down a little bit. The jump masters are still without a fix to their ability to stay on target. They're a little bit expensive. I think one of the ships that I would love to see more is the M3As. However, I don't think the M3As are undercosted. To be honest, I just think we're not making the best use of them. So their dial is pretty crappy. So maybe they are overcosted by a little bit. So I'd say the M3As. So I would say the M3As, the Jumpmaster, and the aggressors can go down by a bit.
All right, and Will.
And some of the force upgrades for the
And
rebels.
he's just gonna grab everything, and then Will's gonna be like, "Well, Marcel said all my stuff."
So. No, but some of the like some of the like Ezra and some of those force upgrades for rebels that don't get any play.
All right, now Will, you have the floor.
I just want to touch on the Seek discussion for that. A Initiative 2 foe cost 27 points and has 2, 3, basically 4 stat line, right?
Mm-hmm.
Seeks, which have the exact same stat line, they for Initiative 2 cost 27. Are you really paying what are we paying for on these Seeks? Because
the hard point slot.
Foes have about a dial.
I mean, that's. I think if you're looking for an answer, that's probably it. Is my guess.
Right.
That's
right. I guess. I mean, yeah, free jamming be my guess. Anyways, mine. I want to say the quad jumper, but I don't think it probably should stay on the shelf.
You know how many people just like turned off the no.
I said probably. That's my personal. Let's go back to 28 or 20. Let's drop it to 26. Come on, let's get it done. But anyways, no, I'm going a different route, and one of the factions that has very good chassis is the Resistance, except for one, and that is the Star Fortress. It is terribly overcosted, and all you pay for the most part is 2 dice side arc attacks. And you can't put trajectory simulator on it because you're up to just doing some 16 with just a cobalt with trajectory and a bomb at 69 points. But that's crazy expensive. Now, I'm not advocating trajectory simulator should go down. That's probably appropriate. But I just don't understand. Like, clearly we haven't seen any, right? We occasionally see the Invincible.
Right. The definitely killable Invincible.
Yeah, very much killable.
Definitely shoot the wingmates and then kill Invincible.
Yeah, fly past Vinny and get behind him. Invincible. Yeah. That worked like once or twice, but like if you have seen it before, you know what's going on with it, so it shouldn't come to a surprise. But other than that, we haven't seen anything, and I think in that vein as well, I just think like bombs and bombing strategies really aren't cost effective in X-Wing right now. There's absolutely like nothing is in competitive except for the occasional proxy mine, right? Mm-hmm. Which is a mine. That's not a bomb. I'm talking about bombing out there. And do you think it would be, though, with all like the swarms we've seen and different things like that, and like aces? We've always talked about how like really like seismic charges because they have such a big area, but we just don't see use of them. Is bombing something you guys would want to see more of in X-Wing?
I think that's the question, right? Like, we went through crazy bombing first edition. Not that we would go to it to that degree, but are people okay playing that game? Are people okay playing against that game? Because it's like, I definitely know people that don't enjoy dealing with the I can't go here zone because I'll just take damage. Like, they want to actively feel like they're engaging you, but they just can't do it in the realm that they're always used to. If you take someone off their game and they have to do something very different, they're normally going to feel uncomfortable already. And if they lose the game in a catastrophic manner just because they weren't prepared for the bombs or couldn't figure out how to engage you, it's going to feel bad. And not a lot of people tend to analyze why something may have happened in the game. Now, in first edition, there was a lot of agency taken away completely because of how effective they were. Now, because of system phase and other things, such as the fact that this thing doesn't have deflective plating anymore, trajectory simulator and point costs in general are controlled in an easier manner. You know, we don't see that right now. Can it be upped a bit so that, not points, but like, can its effectiveness and competitiveness go up a bit so we see it a little more? I kind of hope so, because the unfortunate part of how FFG designed this specific bomber, even though it's called a Star Fortress, they designed it now in second edition more as this thing is a gun platform. It's got the 3 die front, the 2 die side, 2 gunners, 2 bombs, modification tech, blah blah blah. So it's designed to potentially cover a lot of area with fire and kind of cover a lot of area with bombs, but all of the abilities, or most of the abilities given to those specialty unique pilots, are all bombing related. So you're paying for a ship trying to shoot a lot with the chassis, but all the pilots as you go higher are designed around better bombing.
Right.
And this thing doesn't have access to reinforce, which I think is probably the major killer as to why you're investing a lot of points into this thing, because it needs to be this expensive because of the gun platform that it has, but you don't have the staying power anymore. You just, like Will said, you get up to 60 some points. You're talking easy soon tier with shield upgrade Predator territory, and I'd take that any day. So
good point. Yeah, I'm really curious to see how things end up rolling out. Again, the new points change happening here in early January 2020. And we'll see. We'll see how our predictions end up. For myself, as something that needs to go down, like I said, I talked about some of the, which these gentlemen already talked about, the scum pilots, and we'll see how that rolls out. And for me, the thing I'm curious is, will the points change affect what we publicly see? What I mean by that is, I spend a lot of my time involved in X-Wing with watching the top matches, right? Like I have probably watched more X-Wing games than anybody out there. Probably. Maybe there's somebody out there who watches like all our games and all of everybody else's games, but a significant amount. And what I notice is, with even our most recent point change that happened in July, there wasn't a huge difference between what I saw on both sides of those coins. The biggest thing is that, like, the Separatists got a bump, but other than that, we saw a lot of the same stuff from the Rebels, from Empire. Scum just took a hit, and Resistance looked practically the same. First Order, same. Like, I didn't see a huge change. I'm curious to know really what's gonna. Are we gonna get a big shakeup, big mix up? So we'll see. We're going to jump into our question of the week. And this is one that I actually have been seen thrown around a lot. And it says, this is from TNX Old Jester. As I recall that in official tournaments, you are allowed to use official game components to set up your squad. As an example, you can use a 1 straight to separate 2 ships, for formation flying, or a range ruler to align them. Can you use the cross ruler components, these are the wing tools, from the Epic Battles box to set up a 4-ship formation in an official tournament? The answer is no, you cannot. And the reason is right here, it's in the tournament doc. And it is under the legal products and substitutions. It says players can only use their range rulers and maneuver templates within range 1. So it's a very specific case where it says you can use this and this. Wing tools are not mentioned at all. So unless they add it in there, as of right now, you cannot do that during an official tournament. Pretty straightforward, right, guys? I mean, I don't think I'm missing anything there.
Believe so, yeah.
Yep, sounds correct.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and jump into our new format for List of the Week. We got 3 of them. Okay, we got 3 lists because we got 3 guys who are better at list building than I am, and yeah, we're gonna hit that one next week. And let's go ahead and do this. Who picked the scum one?
I
leave
did.
that.
All right, Marcel is going to go ahead and hit this scum list. This comes from TNX Old Jester, actually the gentleman who asked the question about the wing tool. So let's go ahead and tweak some lists. So the list contains Bosk with Bosk on the YV666 with Lando crew, IG88D, Greedo gunner, and contraband cybernetics. Then Fenrau with swarm tactics and an escape craft, and this is the Outer Rim Pioneer with snapshot, tactical officer, and hull upgrades.
Okay. So this is a pretty decent list. But what he's trying to do, it looks like, he's trying to use Fenrau to make sure that Bosk triggers Greedo at Initiative 6. One of the issues with that is that means you're going to fly Fenrau predictably, and Fenrau wants to kind of go out and do his own thing. So let's start off with taking swarm tactics off of Fenrau just to give him some breathing room and put Fearless on him instead. He likes Fearless a lot better anyway. Let's see what else we want to do. Let's throw a shield upgrade on Bosk. Keep Bosk a little bit more
thick.
Yeah, make him a little bit harder to kill. Now, I'm not a big fan of the escape craft in this particular list because you're not.
What? Wait, what?
I'm not a big fan of the escape craft on this particular list because it's not Outer Rim Pilot and you got nowhere to dock them. Is that better?
Yeah.
All right. So with the rules being that we're allowed to swap one last out. Now I see what you're trying to do with the snapshot, and the Outer Rim Pilot allowing Bosk to sit on a rock. You know what? It's okay. Just bring gas clouds. You'll be okay. So let's take Escape Craft out and swap them out for Captain Seavor. And you wanted snapshot on there, so we'll keep the snapshot on Captain Seavor. But now you've got the ability to jam during the activation phase if you choose to. So that brings you in at 191. Again, you're still taking advantage of Bosk at Initiative 5. He's going to be shooting relatively early, so Greedo is
Initiative 4.
Initiative 4, even then, he's fine. He doesn't need to shoot at 6. It's Bosk. You gave him an extra shield, so let him live with that. And with again, IG88D and Lando, you're getting your rerolls and your offensive calculate in this case. So it's pretty offensive. Again, Seavor being able to clear tokens, see they're in activation, and maybe push some damage through. He's always tough to kill. And Fenrau, now you've given him the liberty to go and basically do anything that he wants to do and not be stuck with Bosk. And at 191, you've got actually the initiative, so you get to choose whether you want to shoot first. If you're playing against another Initiative 4 and you want to shoot them before they shoot you to get you've got the choice to do that. If you're playing against against an Initiative 6 where Fenrau wants to move last, you've got the choice to be able to do that as well. So there you go.
Awesome. So we end up with Bosk with Lando, IG88D crew, Greedo gunner, shield upgrade, and contraband cybernetics. Fenrau with Fearless and a mining guild tie. That's Captain Seavor with snapshot. Let's go ahead and move on to our next list. Who took the Separatists?
That'd be me.
All right. So this list has Chertek with Ensnare, and it looks to be 1, 2, 3, 4 Techno Union bombers. These are the Hyenas with Prox mines and landing struts, and then a lonely little vulture Trade Federation drone with nothing on them, leaving you at 200 points. What are we going to do here, Ryan?
Well, so far, similar to last week, I would take this list out right away and try it. It is something that I can see that the goal is put a whole lot of no-go zones of bomb templates, and then Cheritek's just going to ease them into them. Say, you go take this mine now, and you go boom. The Vulture by itself isn't actually a bad thing to have. You have a blocker and you have a calculate generator to help keep those hyenas a little alive, because they're not realistically going to shoot at that Vulture. They're going to shoot at the hyenas, and there's an extra calculate for them as needed. But to try out a variation, you could drop the Vulture, upgrade one of the Techno Union bombers to a bombardment drone for that forward drop, and then the other 3 Techno Union bombers all gain Discord missiles. And the bombardment drone, you got 1 point left, will gain delayed fuses in case he wants to drop it forward. He can fly over it, and then it'll be left there for the enemy to fly on.
Wow, awesome. And it would seem that this list might be inspired by what happened at the Brazilian Grand Championships, right? Where there was 5 of these guys with prox mines and struts.
I think it was 6.
6? That's a lot of thick boys.
It's
awesome.
a lot.
Yeah, I like the idea here with Cheritek being able to use that pinpoint tractor array, get that tractor, and then use snare in order to pass that along and just cause havocs with those bombs. Of course, you could run into some issues if you run against a bunch of large base ships, but maybe you just change the strategy then.
I mean, large base ship has less places to go if there's prox mines everywhere.
There you go. And last but not least, we have the Rebel Alliance list that Will is going to take a look at. Here we have Hera Syndulla in the VCX 100 with Kanan crew and Chopper crew and the Ghost title. Then we have docked to the Ghost, we have an attack shuttle. This is Ezra Bridger, which we have not seen him very often. So I'm actually going to take a second and read his ability. His ability says, while you defend or perform an attack, if you are stressed, you may spend 1 force to change up to 2 of your focus results to evade or hit results. Of course, those only take place if Ezra leaves the Ghost. Continuing on to Ezra's upgrades, it has predictive shot, Lando crew, dorsal turret, and the targeting computer, because attack shuttles don't have target lock action. Very common mistake. Then in some TIE fighters, we have Sabine Wren with composure and targeting computer, and then Zeb Aurelios with targeting computer. And the goal here was to, have a little theme going with Rebels. What do you think, Will?
Oh, I do love how they got all of the Spectres into one list. And that's Hera, Kanan, well, actually, in order, it's Kanan, Hera, Chopper, Zeb, Sabine, Ezra. I think actually Chopper, oh, I gotta look this up. Yeah, Chopper is actually Spectre 3 and Zeb is Spectre 4, which I think is really funny. But I guess he joined earlier. Anyways, so there's a major flaw with this, and it is definitely that Ezra. I love Ezra Bridger, and I wish we had the old R3A, R3A3. Oh man,
R3A2.
R3A2, yeah. But let the past die, and we have to deal with new and improved Ezra. And I'm actually going to take him out of the attack shuttle. And we're gonna drop that completely. And we're gonna trade we're gonna trade him and Zeb. So Ezra is going in a TIE fighter, and Zeb is manning the attack shuttle. But we're actually gonna go with season 3, I think it is, when they got the Phantom 2, which is the Sheathipede class. So we got Sheathipede Zeb. Well, I'm looking at my own list, but I'm not going to look at it.
Just read it. I got you.
Yeah, Sheathipede Zeb, Ezra in the TIE fighter. We still have.
Does he have targeting computer on there still, or is it naked?
No, we're not going to undock him. We're gonna leave Zeb in the old Ghost for now. He might come out later, but we're not. We're gonna leave him in there. Taking a bill, we're going to get to that in just a moment. Let's finish up on these TIE fighters. Now, this list actually has an interesting Sabine build. It has composure and targeting computer. Assuming in that you're going to fail her free booster barrel roll on purpose to trigger composure which when you fail an action, you have no green tokens, you can perform a focus action. And then Sabine moves after failing that action and then can take a target lock, which is interesting. Normally, I just would run them with Debris Gambit or something to get that kind of barrel roll linked into an evade action economy. But for the same points, I think this is interesting enough to try. So I'm going to leave that Sabine just like that, and I'm going to put on Ezra supernatural reflexes. It costs 8 points, and it will use his force charge, but that's going to make some pretty fast TIE fighters out there if they can both boost before they do their maneuver. So there's going to be your flank, okay? Which I know it's just 2 TIE fighters, but that's going to be your flank, is those guys. And we're going to use Zeb in the Sheathipede shuttle for his pilot ability here, or excuse me, the ship ability, chassis ability. It says while you're docked to the carrier ship gains coordinate, and before your carrier ship activates, it may perform a coordinate action. Well, if the TIE fighter's on the flank, why do we care about this coordinate action? Because it's another chance to use composure, which is what it's going to be on Harris and Dula. You try to coordinate somebody. Zeb doesn't see anybody because the TIE fighters are often flanking. So he then basically gives Hera the focus token. Then that's who he ends up coordinating.
Carabast, have an action.
Exactly. What was our points at here? We got 5 left.
We're at 195.
All right. And then the other thing you got to make sure is that when you when you have a dock ship, you have a rearc. That's the tail gun ability out of the VCX. So it only has a 2 dice rearc, which is not exciting. But I'm going to use those last points for an ion cannon turret as well, and really get that Hera, just guaranteeing that no matter what, she should have at least some sort of shot, whether it's the ion cannon or the tail gun or whatever the case may be. But she can then reinforce and focus every round, focus target lock. If that's the case, you do have Kanan there for some interesting shenanigans to remove stress when you do a white maneuver. So going through debris, exiting the K-turn, kind of things like that, kind of keeps her open. I normally prefer a saw, but this is in the Spectre build. I think there is some use out of Kanan Jarrus there. And hopefully you find up with these TIE fighters again, and Zeb can start giving them coordinates as well. So it's not just always the composure, but I think that sounds pretty fun. Those TIE fighters are going to be pretty fast. Terra's tanky as always. I think it could work.
Awesome. Well, that has been our List of the Week segment. Hopefully you guys enjoy that. Remember, you can submit lists for List of the Week on our Discord channel. Type !Discord while watching live, or you can go ahead and click the link in the description to join and submit your lists. You know, I really like this format. We can do 3. Maybe if we had time, we would do 4, and I would do 1, so I can start stretching my my list building muscles and have these guys judge me. It'd be great. All right. All right, guys. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's show. Couple of announcements that I forgot to put in earlier. There will be no league night this week. You might be thinking, again, yeah, unfortunately, just the Wednesdays for the last few weeks have just been really tough. Tomorrow, Wednesday, is actually my winter concert. I am an orchestra teacher by trade, so I'm going to be a little busy. For other concerts, I've had the time to drop off the stream and have the guys kind of run it. Just with all the things going on, I'm actually doing this whole we're actually playing the main theme of Star Wars as our finale. And there's this I edited together clips from all 9 well, I guess all 8 videos, all 8 movies from the Star Wars of the Skywalker saga, and took some clips from the trailers, put them together. We also got glow sticks that my kids are going to attach to their bows, and I have just all this logistical stuff that I got to get ready. It's going to look super awesome. And it'll be worth it for the kids, but that because of that, I won't be available to do League Night. And then after that, I think next Wednesday, I think it might be okay for League Night, but then right after that, it's Christmas. So we're going to be a little on and off again, but once we hit the new year, we should be consistent again, bringing you guys that Wednesday night action. But we have a bunch of games going up on YouTube over the next week or so from the Philadelphia System Open. I think we even have the XTC, which I know that was a long time ago, but that's with some awesome X-Wing that was played, that was recorded, that a lot of people didn't get to see because our connection was a little bit shoddy while we were there, but we got some games for you guys to watch, so don't worry. Make sure you guys keep your eye on our YouTube channel. Hit that subscribe button. We're on the journey to 10,000 subscribers. Last time I checked, we were in the 9,500 range, so let's go ahead and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Remember, if you want to support the Gold Squadron podcast, there's lots of ways to do it. Patreon, Twitch, buy the swag. We just put a bunch of new stuff on the store, goldsquadronpodcast.com, including our, we actually have a Mandalorian-themed This Is The Way shirt that got added to the store today, which a lot of people really liked. So, thanks for watching, everybody. Thank you to all my friends here, our co-hosts, Ryan, Will, and Marcel. Thanks for watching. Gold Squadron out.